Welcome to the Well-Rounded Retirement Podcast with John and Jim from CRIS Financial. In this podcast, we help you take a well-rounded approach to retirement planning so you can retire with complete certainty. If you're looking for proven and straightforward retirement advice, ranging from how to protect your assets to how to spend with confidence, this show is for you.
Hello and welcome to Well-Rounded Retirement with Jim Donewald and John Glowacz from CRIS Financial. Today is their inaugural podcast. I'm really excited. These two guys are fantastic, and we've had a good time even before the start of this podcast. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Good, Eric. How are you?
We're doing good, Eric. Thanks for being on here.
Heck yeah, this is exciting. This is your first podcast ever. Well, at least with me. I don't know if you've been a guest on other ones, but I'm ready to jump in. Are you guys?
We're ready.
We're ready. I think we both have the face for the podcast.
Yes, me too. So we're all matching. I'm glad we all came coordinated today. For the audience, this is their first podcast. This podcast is broken up into about two sections. First, we're going to talk a little bit about their history and their practice, and then we're going to get into their personal life a little bit later in the podcast, so stick around for that for sure. Gentlemen, the first question is easy, and I'd love for both of you to give an answer for this. Why did you decide to work in financial service, and just tell us a little bit about your history?
Yeah, sure, Eric. I've been in the financial service industry ever since I graduated college. The big change for me came in 2008 when the market crashed, yet again. Two big things happened to me. One, my well-diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, gold, and real estate all took a hit. And second, I got scared. This was what I was doing wasn't working anymore. So that's when I got into the retirement industry, really out of self-preservation. It literally has changed my life. There's no more sleepless nights for me now, and that's what I want to bring to our listeners.
Nice.
And Eric, basically, I kind of evolved into the financial services world through a lot of different channels as I was getting out of college, working in the finance business for automobile dealerships. Then I had a large group health and insurance benefit company that we worked with. It evolved into property and casualty, and from property and casualty, it evolved into financial services, and then to where we are today with our own registered investment advisory firm, CRIS Capital, that we've kind of done the whole gamut of the financial services and the different offers that we are able to make, or the challenges that we're able to help our clients through.
Fantastic. And obviously the name of the podcast is Well-Rounded Retirement. And Jim, you spoke a little bit about, working with retirees. So who do you work with specifically, and really what is your specialty?
We find we can do the most good for people between the ages of 50 and 75 with somewhere between $300,000 and $3 million of investable assets. These are the people that we think are looking for safety and diversification and distribution, I should say. That's really our specialty is wealth management for the reason of protecting it and then distributing it. If you're looking for 15% returns, we're probably not your guys.
Got it. I want to make something very clear to the listening audience. I don't want you to be scared off. If you have $500 million, maybe $1 billion in assets that you need help with, I think these guys are going to do just fine. I mean, would you guys turn them down just out of curiosity?
Probably not. No, we can help everybody.
I just want to. Well, yeah, it is truly about helping everyone, right? So don't stop listening if you have $500 million that you need to invest and need help with retirement. Just keep listening. You're going to find out.
Well, I think people with $1 billion even are looking for some sort of safety and places to put their money. So.
Preach. Yeah, right now especially. Right? With the way the markets have been, I agree 100%. All right, so let's bring it down to this. What do you do for your clients when they walk in the door then?
I'd say it very simply, what we do is we eliminate unnecessary risk from their retirement plans. We want to see, based on their goals, what they're trying to accomplish. And we find that most clients are taking on a lot more risk than they probably realize. So we have proprietary software we work with, all sorts of different programs that really just boils it down to what do they need to be doing to achieve their goals. That if they wanted additional risk, that's fine if they're looking for extra growth. But that's really our specialty.
And I think that we have clients as well, Jim, that they come in and they're in a couple different phases of their retirement, because most of the people that we deal with are pre-retirees and retirees, and they've been through the accumulation phase, and now it's kind of the distribution phase. And so our goal is to at that point in time is to create some sort of retirement income plan or distribution plan for them in order to live their life out in retirement, as opposed to so much about accumulation. We kind of take it down just a notch, 4, 5, 6, 7% don't hurt me. That's kind of really what our goal is.
Gotcha. No, those are great points. So it brings me right to my next question. You've given us kind of an age range, and obviously we've got a bit of a financial range there. But who's your ideal client if you were to describe them?
Well, I think John just kind of hit on it. We're looking for people that probably don't have a plan or don't understand the difference between maybe who they've worked with so far that's strictly about accumulation. That's great in your 20s and 30s, maybe even 40s. But when you start getting into your 50s, you got to be prepared for, say, like the market today, where it's going to drop 20, 30%. Most people can't recover from that in time to retirement. It's a big challenge. So we help them put a plan together. We help them get there faster. And if they're looking for somebody that's got a proven system that, basically a little hand holding and show them exactly how to do it, we've got a proven system that we've walked many, many clients through.
We also take care of their needs for distribution, because at some point in time there's going to be health issues and there's living issues, and then there's making sure that they don't want to run out of money during their retirement, and then you've got long-term care that could possibly creep into the position, and we just want to make sure that they're well-rounded and able to pay for these things without creating a crisis. And so in other words, we basically try to do crisis planning rather than planning for a crisis.
Yeah, great way to say that. I find it interesting. The better technology gets, the better innovation that's out there, especially after this pandemic that we've gone through. There's so much innovation happening right now. It's like the goalposts, not for retirement, but the goalposts, not that our goal is death, but we know that's the end game, right? It's like that goalpost keeps getting further and further away, meaning we're living longer and longer. So not running out of money is so much more important now than it ever has been, because our grandparents, the life expectancy was way different and retirement looked way different for them than it does for us now, or it does for us in 20 or 30 years. So yeah, I mean, it's incredibly important. And so trying to reach your audience is always a struggle for every business owner. So how do you acquire new clients?
We do a little bit of everything. We do, dinner seminars. We teach at the local college here. We're working on a podcast right now you might have heard of.
Well, I've heard of it, yeah. Well-rounded retirement, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the
one.
Man,
I tell you what, the guys that are on that podcast, their voices are amazing.
That's good. Yeah. So, I mean, really, it's always been about, the marketing is tough, but really just trying to get the word out. John's our marketing guru, so he's on top of that.
Yeah, Jim's. We're both. I mean, our clients and our prospects seem to like this, because Jim and I, we work together, and we're not just a single person out there doing these dinner seminars or these educational events or workshops. Jim and I kind of ping pong off each other, because he's more of the analytical engineer type, and I'm the loosey goosey. Let's have fun type. So we've got two different personalities here, and that's our customers seem to like that a lot.
John, you strike me as the life of the party of the two of you.
Maybe at one time I was, Eric, but I don't know. As I get older, I think the life of my party is sitting on the couch.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, especially in quarantine right now.
Hey, you can cut that out too.
Oh, come on now, that's great. That's great stuff. All right, you mentioned dinner seminars and educational events. What other client education do you do?
Well, the most recent one we just did something at the, not just because of the pandemic here, but we were at the local community college here where we did a adult financial literacy course, which once again, in my own experience here, what I was taught, I got a finance degree, isn't really what's working anymore. People need to be aware of this. There's new things that keep happening. There's a lot of old information out there that, quite frankly, like I said, it just doesn't work anymore.
All right. Anything to add, John?
Yeah, I believe that we do some educational workshops as well too at the community college. Jim does a course that he teaches at the community college on. It's called The Power of Zero, and it's we talk about taxation, we talk about inflation. We also do an educational workshop on long-term care and the cost of long-term care.
All right, guys, I'm going to challenge you right now on a future podcast. I would love to hear your thoughts and maybe even bring in a special guest to accompany us on this. But we know that with all the PPP programs, small business loan programs, and all those different things that are happening right now, the checks, stimulus checks that are going out to folks, that taxation is going to be a huge issue here in the next 5-10 years, especially for retirees, because that can change the game. So I want to challenge you right now to be thinking about a podcast that we can put out in a few months to kind of address that and talk about that. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We've been kicking around some ideas on that prior to us talking this morning.
We just dumped $2 trillion of debt. Taxes are going to be an issue, so we don't want that ticking time bomb. We at least need to be aware of it.
Especially during retirement.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. All right, guys, you are fantastic. I'm just going to say it out loud a couple times. You're fantastic, okay? However, I know you guys can't do this alone, right? So who's on your team, and what do they do? How do they help you out with this?
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you asked that. I mean, we're a small company, but we have powerhouse support. We have aligned ourselves with, as John mentioned earlier, the Power of Zero, which is basically how to combat taxes in retirement. We have active management through Schwab. We are long-term care specialists with $1 Million Advisors. So we really are trying to take care of the retirement community. I mean, we don't work with people under the age of 50 typically. So we are strictly, focused on the needs of the retiree. And then since we can't know it all, we make sure that we align ourselves with people that have got more background for us. So, all this information is pouring into our company, which is fabulous. So if we don't have the answers, we'll get them.
Yeah, we have one of the top ADOs in the country. A lot of people call them different names, FMOs, IMOs, FDO. They basically provide us with the product and the knowledge of the different products that are out as they come onto the market. And without that knowledge and without that information, it would be hard for us to go out and find those products to understand them so that we can meet the needs of our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing is that a lot of people out there have had this mentality, well, I can just do this myself. But the true scope of all the different things and moving parts, products, as you say, and other strategies that are out there to help people navigate retirement, prepare for it, and live through it, and live long enough to enjoy it, it's overwhelming. And that's why there are professionals like you that do this for a living, because it's just overwhelming. There's just too much out there. And I'm not discouraging anybody that's listening to this that does it themselves. And if they're doing great, fantastic. But it never hurts to get a second set of eyes on it too. So I know that you guys would be open to a phone call, and we'll talk about that at the end of the podcast. But truly, it's overwhelming how much information is out there, and it takes a lifetime to study that stuff. And like you said, you bring on other team members to help you with that. And that's fantastic. You guys mentioned community. You're doing a lot in the community as far as educational stuff. What other things do you do in the community?
Well, Jim and I are both involved with our local churches. We have done and do feed the homeless here in our local area and around Houston. We also do school supplies for needy children.
Nice.
One thing that I was involved in a lot over the years was mentoring at the juvenile boot camp for children that were at risk, trying to mentor them into turning around and going in a different direction. I also did a little over 200 speeches per year with Mothers Against Drunk Drivers.
Wow.
And I also coached for 22 years the Junior Olympic softball, where we would play around the world, and then we would these kids that we coached would go on to play collegiate softball, and we were the ones who facilitated the scholarships to the different colleges using softball as the vehicle to get their college degree. So we've actually done a lot in the community, and we're very proud of what we've done and what we've accomplished.
Oh man, that's fantastic, John. You and I, our hearts are aligned. We'll get into this at some other time, but my wife and I worked for Boys Town for a little over 12 years and raised 70 kids, 69 boys and 1 girl. So my daughter's tough, right?
She's got to be.
That's a big
She's got to
family.
be. Yeah, she's just like her mother. So, it's fantastic. All right, gentlemen, we talked about the education that you do for clients in the community. And also, I know that you spend a lot of time educating your clients one-on-one when you sit down and talk with them. But what designations or advanced education do you guys have?
They keep us pretty busy. We're securities licensed, we're insurance licensed, we're long-term care certified. And I don't know, John, you were on the computer for about 8 hours yesterday taking some course. What were you doing?
I was doing some long-term care certification, and I have a degree in business and a minor in finance. I'm not sure what Jim has, but
I have a degree in finance. Degree in finance is it, and then with all this, they constantly make us do continuing education, which is good. But there's a lot to keep up on between the long-term care, securities, insurance. There's just always a lot, which is good, but it's a little demanding.
Yeah, good and necessary. And so for the listening audience, you may hear us say CE every once in a while. That is continuing education. When they have to do CE, that's what that is. It's continuing education, and it's pretty robust from all the different things that they're doing, all the different things they're working with, because, again, they need the education to be able to guide and help each and every one of you. All right, this is the last question for this section, guys. One of you can answer it. Both of you can answer it. Doesn't matter to me. But if you had to say it out loud in one definition, what is your financial philosophy?
I think the way we look at it, the way I look at it is that we want your portfolio should have a purpose. You should figure out what you want. I mean, there's a lot of goals, right? Not all our clients have the same goals. So whether it's income, growth, or liquidity, and then we should assign a portion of your portfolio to accomplish that. That to me, that's the only way to keep track if you're actually on track, because if we know what this is designed to do. So for example, if you're looking for income, we're going to separate that portfolio just for income and use products that are designed just for income. So it's completely separate from maybe growth or liquidity.
the other thing that one of our philosophies is, and we have this on our email at the bottom of the email signature page, is that we never want to undo any of the good that they have done. So we're constantly vigilant of what it is that they've accomplished, and we want to enhance what it is that they've done and bring them into modern day, as the financial world is constantly changing. So basically, another one of our mantras is planning for tomorrow today. So this kind of the direction that we go into with our clients.
Fantastic. All right, that's the end of the first section. The next section is personal. So we're going to get personal with you guys and your life. Are you ready?
We're ready.
We're ready.
All right.
Ready, Teddy.
First question. What are you wearing? I'm just kidding. The first question truly is
Khakis.
business attire. I'm in a suit, full suit, Eric. That's what I'm wearing right now because I'm professional. Anyway, yeah, no kidding. The first question really is, when you guys aren't working, what do you guys do for fun?
Well, we both like to travel. I'm a big hiker. I like running with my dogs. And right now with the coronavirus, I'm watching a lot of Netflix.
Nice.
Yeah, and Jim and I are kind of really opposite. Other than the travel, we like to travel a lot and do things like that together. But I play golf. My wife and I, or she actually plays golf as well. We like to camp, which is a lot of fun. We have a trailer that we go camping and have been to Montana and Yosemite and all those places, Yellowstone. And so we have fun doing that.
That's fantastic. Dogs and camping. You're speaking my
Dogs
language
and
right there. Absolutely. All right, guys, who's your hero?
For me, it was my dad. I didn't even realize it until much later in life, but he was really a great mentor. He was an engineer by trade, but growing up, there was nothing my dad couldn't do. He helped me work on my car, taught me some electrical, drywall, just really a hands-on guy, nothing he couldn't do. Later in life, he retired and then became a day trader. So he taught me a great work ethic and he just made me believe there was nothing I couldn't do and showed me how.
And I thought about that for a little bit as we discussed this the other day. I had a mother that raised 6 sons
Wow.
without a father and minimal child support, working 3 jobs. So I thought, well, maybe she might be a hero. But I think that the main hero in my life was, since that my mother was working 3 jobs and I had 5 brothers to take care of because I was the oldest, it would be the coaches that have been involved in my life have kind of been my hero, because they're the ones who made sure that I got through high school and I was on the up and up and I was was doing the right thing and I was going to go to college and play in sports. So I'd have to say that my heroes were the coaches that have been involved in my life.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, your mom was just amazing, obviously, with six kids and putting you all, meals on your plate and a roof over your head and doing the best she could to raise 6 boys. Good gravy. That's amazing.
When you got choices to make, and I hear people say that, I went down the road because I didn't have a father or I didn't have this or that. And I think all of us have choices as to what we're going to be or how we're going to turn out when we get older. And those are choices that all of my brothers have made this entire time, was to go in a direction, and we've all become fairly successful.
100% I agree, because you put it best with the coaches. There are people there that spoke into your life, even though they weren't a parent. They were a parent-type figure that passed along wisdom, and it was your choice to listen to that or not. And I think that anybody who has an opportunity to listen to somebody with good advice, who's well-intentioned, needs to be able to make that decision to listen or not listen. And, I mean, we all have that decision. So, obviously, you made the right one. So that's fantastic. Yeah. All right, the next question is a little bit odd, a little bit off the wall here. But if you had all the money in the world, all the money you ever needed for your entire life and generations to come, what would you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I never know how to answer questions like that. I feel pretty lucky. I'm pretty content with my life now, so I can't really imagine it. For me, though, the things that are important is, I feel the veterans have always gotten a short end of the stick. I'm big into wounded warriors, and I'm a big animal lover. So I think that would take a focus of my time. That's what I see. I really don't know. I guess I'm very content. I feel very fortunate. I don't have all the money in the world, and I still feel very fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I had all the money in the world, I'm not sure exactly what I would do more than really what I'm doing now, other than maybe traveling a little bit more and walking into a store and not worrying about how much something cost. Might be a little bit different, but I don't have those problems, so I'm content with what it is that I have and what we're doing to help the world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This kind of goes back to something Jim said earlier. I was raised very similarly with a dad who taught me how to fix things. I'd like to not have to fix things myself. If I had that extra money, I might hire somebody to do some of the things that I just don't want to do. So no, that's great. Those are great thoughts. All right. What is your idea of success?
These are my tough questions. Where do these come from? Yeah, I don't know. My idea of success, I guess, is just living a healthy life, which is what we're doing right now. Hanging out with the people I love. I guess I'd like more freedom. I like what I do, but I like my time off. I like travel. That's what it is to me.
Mm-hmm.
My idea of success is the ability to help others become successful, and if I'm able to mentor or share ideas or provide information that can help out someone else to become successful, then I've done my job.
Fantastic. All right, what is one thing that you recommend most to clients, family, or friends? And it could be anything. We're talking pizza, a book, a movie, anything.
Well, this is pretty funny. This is why I love what I do here. What we do by nature is pretty conservative. I'm a pretty conservative guy, and I can't tell you how many of my clients I have to call to encourage to spend their money. It sounds kind of funny, but they've done a great job at accumulating, and it's hard to make that transition from paycheck coming in to nothing's coming in ever again. And most of my clients have done a pretty good job, and with a little help and a little guidance, they're really in a good shape. So I'm constantly telling them, they can spend a little bit more of what they have, or at least enjoy it. If they don't want to, that's fine, but they are certainly able to.
Well, Jim, we always talk about that in our seminars, is that if you don't go on that cruise, or you don't go on that fly first class to Europe, or you don't spend your money during the retirement years, your kids will.
Yeah. Quite true. All right, guys, we're to my favorite question of the list. This is my absolute favorite. Tell us one thing that most people don't know about you.
I had a hard about that as I was reading through that, but I guess really, I like to meditate every day. I didn't always used to do that. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty much the type A personality. And I started meditating probably over 20 years ago. And what a great way to start your day. It just really gets me in line with what's happening because I tend to run on the excited side. So it's nice to start my day in that center point. And that's probably been one of the things I've done forever. I get up early before anybody's up. And I'm guessing most people don't know that's what I do every day.
Great.
I don't think I have anything that people don't know about me. I think I'm an open book, so.
No tattoos that we don't know about or you haven't told anybody about?
Not tatted, no piercings. I'm a terrible golfer. But
He's working on.
I'm working on it.
He's working on some piercings. We're trying to talk him into it.
All right. I'll look forward to the photo slideshow that you guys are putting together. All right. What is your proudest achievement if you had to name something?
I was thinking about this as well, too. Probably the one that really gets me is I ran the Chicago Marathon back in, it's been a while now, back in 97. But that was, I had always hated running. I used to skip gym class on days we'd go for long runs. And then later in life, just kind of got a little more disciplined and went through it. And a good friend of mine just signed me up for the marathon. So unbeknownst to me, because I'd only started running about 8 months earlier, but I was able to do it. So that was a heck of a challenge. I haven't done it since, but I love the fact that I was able to get through it.
Yeah, and I have a long list of achievements that I'm proud of. Mentoring juveniles, coaching kids, and obtaining scholarships and helping them get their degrees. But I think the most that I'm proudest of and on my achievements is the 3 kids that we raised. That's the proudest, the best thing that I've ever done.
Yeah, it's amazing. Good for you. All right. Now, the last piece of this is this podcast is nationwide, right? We're going to have the attention of a lot of people. I want to ask you a question. Who should be listening to this podcast, and really, what are you going to be teaching?
Well, I believe that retirement is confusing, and sometimes it's scary. And we want to give our clients an unfair advantage of the knowledge that we've gotten over these years and show them maybe how to get there faster. I mean, every day we explore these different topics. John and I are always kicking ideas around the office. What's new? What's working? What's not working? Preservation and distribution is our specialty. So if you're, at that point in your life where we're too late for do-overs, and you're looking to hold on to what you have and maybe figure out the best way to make that last and how to protect yourself from taxes, from whatever. That's really who should be listening to this.
Yeah, and there's a lot of misconceptions out there in this business about what we should do, and there's still a lot of advisors, Eric, that are doing one-size-fits-all planning, and they don't have a tool built on that provides their clients with really what's in their best interest. And as a fiduciary, we're going to do what's in our client's best interest, and we want to make sure that we have all these different tools and all these different bullets available in order to help them. And so we're not single-minded, and we're not doing things based on what our back pocket dictates that we should do. We're actually wanting to do what's in the client's best interest and provide them with the tool that fits the need.
Absolutely. And you said the $1 million word, which is fiduciary. I would love for you guys to kind of explain that on a future podcast with some other good information, that maybe the basics of what you guys do and what it looks like to work with you would be a great podcast to do in the future, and being able to describe what a fiduciary is in detail so that people have a better understanding, because I think that word is misunderstood a lot from this industry, because, well, there's a lot that's misunderstood about this industry, and you guys are going to clear a lot of that up with this podcast series. So now that people have gotten a chance to know you a little bit, and they're already saying, hey, these guys are great. I love those guys. Now I want to talk to them. How do they get a hold of you?
Best way to get a hold of us is you can go to our website at www.crisfinancial.com. And remember, that's CRIS Financial.com without the H. So CRISFinancial.com, or you could email either Jim or I. It'd be either John at CRISFinancial.com or Jim at CRISFinancial.com. And or you could reach us on our local phone, 281-665-3081. That's our phone number. Or you can type in something easy like www.quotemejohn.com. That goes straight to our website, and there's a contact page there for both Jim and I as well.
All right, that's fantastic. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. We are going to have some fun with this podcast.
Thanks, Eric. Jim, thanks.
Johnny.
And the last thank you goes to you, the listening audience. Thank you so much for listening to the Well-Rounded Retirement Podcast with Jim Donewald and John Glowacz. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, which I know you haven't, because this is the inaugural, click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Jim and John come out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share these podcasts with your friends and family. Again, thank you so much for listening today. For everyone at CRIS Financial, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Well-Rounded Retirement Podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of CRIS Financial. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service providers with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.